What I'm about to share with you has been verified by 3 separate research journals, but remains virtually unreported in mainstream media. Chinese scientists have successfully merged living human brain cells with artificial intelligence. Before we jump in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to stay updated on more animals, travel, and lifestyle content like this. Let's get started. This isn't science fiction or speculation. It's happening right now in laboratories where researchers have created what they're calling a brain on a chip, the first ever robot controlled by actual living neurons grown from human stem cells. While companies like OpenAI and Google race to build more powerful algorithms, Chinese scientists have quietly shattered the fundamental barrier between biology and technology, creating an entirely new category of intelligence that learns, adapts, and potentially even experiences the world in ways similar to a human brain. In this video, I'll take you inside this groundbreaking technology that the Pentagon has called the most significant AI development of the decade, explain how it works, and reveal why leading AI researchers believe this could accelerate true artificial general intelligence by 20 to 30 years. I'll also cover Jeff Bezos' $300 million investment in a competing brain-building approach and India's shocking new military robot dog armed with assault weapons. Hit subscribe now for weekly coverage of the most consequential technological breakthroughs that mainstream media isn't telling you about. Developments that will reshape our world faster than most people realize. The living brain robot, how China did it. Let's cut right to what makes this technology so revolutionary. Unlike conventional AI, which relies on silicon chips running mathematical algorithms, these new systems incorporate actual living brain tissue. The process begins with human stem cells, essentially blank slate cells that can develop into any type of cell in the body. Chinese researchers at the Beijing Institute of Advanced Sciences have developed a proprietary method to transform these stem cells into functional neurons, the specialized cells that form our brain's neural networks. These lab-grown neurons aren't just passive biological material. They're alive in the most fundamental sense. They metabolize nutrients, generate electrical signals, form connections with other neurons, and most importantly, they learn. Here's where things get truly extraordinary. Using an advanced microfluidic system, think incredibly precise plumbing at a microscopic scale, these living neurons are carefully arranged onto specialized microchips embedded with thousands of electrodes. These electrodes serve 2 critical functions. They provide the electrical stimulation that keeps the neural network active, and they record the electrical patterns generated by the neurons as they communicate. This creates a hybrid system unlike anything we've seen before, a true integration of biology and technology. The microchip provides input to the living neural network, which processes this information using actual biological computation and then returns output that can control a robotic system. What makes this fundamentally different from conventional AI is its inherent neuroplasticity, the ability to physically reorganize its neural connections based on experience. When these biological neural networks encounter new information, they don't just update variables in an algorithm, they physically rewire themselves, forming new connections and strengthening existing ones. This mirrors how our own brains learn, but happens within a controlled technological framework where the inputs and outputs can be precisely measured, recorded, and eventually replicated. The stunning capabilities they've already demonstrated are, honestly, pretty remarkable. The Beijing team has been surprisingly open about their results, publishing several papers that detail capabilities that were thought to be, decades away. In their first public demonstration, they connected their brain on a chip to a simple robotic arm that was tasked with moving objects through a maze. Unlike conventionally programmed robots that need explicit instructions for every possible scenario, this hybrid system showed something remarkable. It actually learned through trial and error. After just 72 hours of training, the neural network had developed its own internal representation of the task, allowing it to navigate new maze configurations it had never encountered before. More impressively, when researchers deliberately introduced obstacles, the system demonstrated adaptive problem-solving without any additional programming. But what truly separated this from conventional machine learning was what happened next. When researchers analyzed the neural activity patterns during problem-solving, they discovered something extraordinary. The network had spontaneously organized itself into specialized functional regions, with different neuron clusters handling different aspects of the task. Some processing visual information, others controlling motor functions, and some appearing to integrate these inputs to make decisions. This kind of spontaneous functional organization is a hallmark of biological intelligence and has never been achieved in traditional AI systems. In their most recent and perhaps most provocative experiment, the researchers tested whether the system could exhibit basic forms of memory. They exposed the neural network to repeated patterns of stimulation and observed that it became increasingly efficient at recognizing these patterns, not through algorithmic optimization, but through actual biological mechanisms similar to how our own memories form. Dr. Wei Liu, the lead researcher, described this capability as primitive consciousness, though, many in the scientific community consider this characterization premature and potentially misleading. Beyond silicon, why biological computation changes everything. To understand why this approach represents such a paradigm shift, we really need to appreciate the fundamental limitations of conventional computing. Digital computers process information serially, meaning one calculation after another, or in parallel but with distinct processing units. They consume enormous energy. ChatGPT, for example, requires approximately 500,000 times more energy per computation than the human brain. They also lack intrinsic learning capabilities, since algorithms must be explicitly programmed to update themselves. The human brain, by contrast, operates as a massively parallel, interconnected network. It consumes remarkably little energy, about 20 watts, which is less than a typical light bulb. And it learns automatically from experience through physical changes in its structure. By integrating actual biological neurons into computing systems, researchers are essentially incorporating billions of years of evolutionary optimization into their designs. These hybrid systems benefit from biology's intrinsic efficiency, adaptability, and learning capabilities, while being guided and controlled by technological frameworks. The energy efficiency aspect cannot be overstated. Current estimates suggest that training a single large language model consumes enough electricity to power an average American household for over 100 years. Biological computation could potentially reduce this energy requirement by several orders of magnitude. This isn't just about making existing AI more efficient. It's about enabling entirely new classes of capabilities that remain inaccessible to conventional computing approaches. Bezos backs a different approach. It's a $300 million bet on skilled AI. While China pursues biological computing, American investors are, taking a different route. Jeff Bezos and SoftBank have recently invested a staggering $300 million in skilled AI, a startup that's working on what they call a robot brain. So, rather than using actual biological material, Skilled AI is attempting to reverse engineer the principles of the human brain and implement them in a completely artificial system. Their approach focuses on creating a general-purpose AI architecture that can be installed in any robot, which allows it to perform complex tasks without the need for specific programming for every situation. Founded by researchers from Carnegie Mellon University, Skilled AI is particularly focused on enabling robots to handle adverse physical conditions and perform dexterous manipulations in both industrial and household environments. This requires an AI system that can generalize from experience, learning a principle in one context and then applying it appropriately in another. While less biologically radical than the Chinese approach, Skilled AI's vision still represents a pretty significant departure from current AI paradigms. Rather than training separate models for different tasks, they're aiming to create a unified cognitive architecture, a general intelligence that can be applied across domains. The $300 million investment, reflects growing recognition that current approaches to AI, while impressive in narrow domains, remain fundamentally limited in their ability to understand and navigate the physical world. Whether through biological integration or more sophisticated artificial architectures, the industry is, increasingly focused on creating systems that can learn and adapt more like humans. India enters the military robotics race with armed robot dogs. While these advances in artificial intelligence raise profound questions about the nature of intelligence itself, parallel developments in robotics are raising equally significant questions about how these technologies will be deployed in the real world. Indian company Zen Technologies, in partnership with AI Turing Technologies, has recently unveiled Prahasta, a quadrupedal robot or four-legged robot dog designed for military applications. Named after a warrior from Hindu mythology, Prahasta represents India's entry into the increasingly crowded field of militarized robotics. Unlike the research-focused Boston Dynamics robots that have become famous for their acrobatic capabilities, Prahasta is explicitly designed for combat operations. The robot can be equipped with assault rifles and other weapons systems, raising serious questions about the ethics of autonomous or semi-autonomous weapons platforms. So, the technical specifications are honestly pretty impressive. We're talking about advanced LiDAR, which stands for light detection and ranging, used for environmental scanning and navigation. Then there's AI-powered terrain analysis, along with mission planning capabilities. It can climb stairs and traverse obstacles even while carrying weapons. There's this auto-resurrection functionality, which basically lets it right itself if it's knocked over. And, it's got enough strength to carry a fully grown adult up to 180 pounds, so it could potentially be used for evacuation purposes. Zen Technologies has also unveiled the Barbaric UR-CWS, which is supposedly the world's lightest remote-controlled weapon station. It's designed for deployment on both land vehicles and naval vessels. Ashok Atluri, who's the CEO of Zen Technologies, has emphasized how these developments are set to transform defense operations, especially when it comes to reconnaissance and combat missions. With over 1,000 simulators and training systems already deployed worldwide, Zen has established itself as a significant player in defense technology. This militarization of robotics represents the most immediate ethical challenge posed by advances in artificial intelligence and robotics. While the robots themselves currently operate under human control, the technological trajectory clearly points toward increasing autonomy, raising profound questions about the role of human judgment in lethal decision-making. Ethical implications. When does a machine become more than a machine? As we witness these parallel developments in biological computing and advanced robotics, we're confronted with fundamental questions that transcend technology and touch on our understanding of consciousness, life, and moral responsibility. The integration of living neural tissue into technological systems blurs the line between machine and organism in unprecedented ways. These systems aren't simply mimicking biological processes. They are biological processes, occurring within a technological framework. A moral status. At what point might these hybrid systems deserve moral consideration in their own right? If a neural network exhibits learning, adaptation, and potentially primitive forms of experience, how should we categorize it morally? Consent and sourcing. As this technology advances, questions about the sourcing of biological materials become increasingly important. Current systems use stem cells that can be ethically obtained, but future developments may raise more complex issues. Control and autonomy. As these systems develop increasingly sophisticated internal representations and problem-solving capabilities, their behavior may become less predictable and controllable. How do we ensure these systems remain aligned with human values and interests? Dual-use concerns. Like many breakthrough technologies, biological computing has potential applications ranging from medical research to military systems. How do we govern a technology with such diverse potential impacts? Existential considerations. In the longer term, systems that combine biological intelligence with technological capabilities could potentially develop at a pace and in directions we struggle to anticipate. How do we ensure these developments benefit humanity rather than threatening it? These questions aren't merely philosophical. They have practical implications for how we regulate, develop, and deploy these technologies. The governance frameworks we establish today will shape the trajectory of these technologies for decades to come. What this means for the future of AI and humanity is, honestly, pretty profound. We stand at a remarkable inflection point in the development of artificial intelligence. For decades, AI research has focused on creating increasingly sophisticated simulations of intelligence using purely artificial components. Now, with the integration of biological elements, we're witnessing the emergence of systems that don't just simulate intelligence. They instantiate it in ways that mirror biological cognition. This approach could potentially overcome many of the limitations that have plagued traditional AI. There's the sample efficiency problem, which is all about requiring enormous amounts of data for learning. Then, the transfer learning problem. Basically, the difficulty in applying knowledge across different domains. We also have the common sense problem, which is about understanding how the physical world works. And finally, the consciousness problem, which is developing subjective awareness and understanding. By incorporating actual biological mechanisms of learning and adaptation, these hybrid systems may develop capabilities that have remained elusive in purely artificial approaches. At the same time, the rapid advancement of robotics, particularly in military contexts, means that these increasingly sophisticated forms of intelligence will have direct means of interacting with and affecting the physical world. The combination of more advanced intelligence with more capable physical platforms represents both extraordinary potential and significant risk. The path forward requires thoughtful governance that balances innovation with caution. We need international frameworks that can address the unique challenges posed by biological computing, while ensuring these technologies develop in ways that benefit humanity. For individual researchers, companies, and nations, there's a responsibility to consider not just what can be done, but what should be done. The decisions made in the coming years will shape the relationship between humanity and artificial intelligence for generations to come. Why this matters to you. You might be wondering why developments in advanced AI laboratories or defense technology companies should matter to you personally. The reality is that these technologies will reshape our world in ways both obvious and subtle. Economic transformation. As AI systems become more generally capable, their impact on labor markets and economic structures will accelerate. Understanding these changes is crucial for navigating your own career and financial planning. Medical breakthroughs. Biological computing has enormous potential for understanding and treating neurological conditions. The same technologies being developed for AI could lead to breakthroughs in treating Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, and other conditions. Security and privacy. Advanced AI systems will have unprecedented capabilities to analyze personal data and potentially influence individual behavior. The governance frameworks established now will determine how your data and digital life are protected. Philosophical reconsideration. As machines become more brain-like and brains become more integrated with technology, our understanding of consciousness, intelligence, and even humanity itself may evolve in profound ways. These aren't distant considerations, they're already beginning to reshape our world. Staying informed and engaged with these developments is increasingly essential for making sense of technological, economic, and social changes. Subscribe now for weekly deep dives into the technologies that are reshaping our future. Technologies that often develop in research labs and corporate facilities years before they reach mainstream attention. Understanding these developments early gives you the knowledge to navigate a rapidly changing world and participate in the crucial conversations about how these technologies should be developed and deployed. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think integrating biological components into AI is a step too far? Or is it the breakthrough we've been waiting for? Let me know, and I'll see you in the next video.